The SR manuscript, 2 years of writing and research on the subject of semen retention. If you wish to own a physical copy of the ancient archives, then this book is for you. I do not see edging as beneficial for one practicing semen retention. The habit of edging will in most cases encourage the habit of sexual fantasy. When a man fantasizes, his testes become activated. You can physically see or feel the activation of the testes when thinking sexual thoughts. They begin to move on their own. In my experience, it is not just semen loss that exhausts you. It is the sexual thoughts themselves that are exhausting. You can come to this conclusion yourself through self-observation. Observe your feelings on the morning after a night of edging and fantasizing versus a night of no sexual thoughts. The difference in energy is night and day. If you try this yourself and recognize the difference, then you will find no greater knowledge than what you have gained from your own self-observation. A man that is constantly entertaining sexual thoughts is keeping themselves in a constant sexual state, a state that boosts sex hormone production. It is likely their testes will be constantly activated from this stimuli. Overactivity of the gonads has been studied in animals. In salmon, eels, and other animals, muscle catabolism is linked to gonadal activity. In eunuchs, that is, castrated males, the absence of gonadal activity extended lifespan. Gonadal activity is a necessary function of reproduction, and as stated in summer theory, reproduction comes at a cost to the organism. The medical term for overactive testes is known as hypergonadism, and upon searching Google, the common symptoms read as follows: increased sex drive and early balding. The link between sexual excess and balding goes back to the times of Aristotle and perhaps even further back, yet the link is not verified scientifically and thus remains a controversial one. Constantly edging will keep your mind full of sexual imagery. It will put you under the spell of lust. The higher human aspirations, such as spirituality, learning, and moral action, will take a back seat to the dominant powers of lustful thought. The gratification of sexual desire usually comes at the cost of mental and spiritual energy. You can receive the short buzz of venereal pleasure, but must pay with your life force. This is a trade-off taking place, a deal with the devil, selling your soul. Don't do it. Keep your human qualities. Keep your humanity. Do not sacrifice everything good and noble about yourself, the human being, for the sake of animal pleasures. Humans are the only animals that can take conscious control of their sex instinct and use those energies for higher purpose. Why did so many athletes throughout history refrain from sex before competition? Why did boxers avoid sex before a big fight? Why did so many great minds of the past refrain from sexual activity? Written in the 1800s. Where one person is injured by sexual commerce, many are made feverish and nervous by harboring lewd thoughts. Rioting in visions of nude women may exhaust one as much as an excess in actual intercourse. There are multitudes who would never spend the night with an abandoned female, but who rarely meet a young girl that their imaginations are not busy with her person. This species of indulgence is well nigh universal, and as it is the source of all the other forms, the fountain from which the external vices spring, the nursery of masturbation and excessive coitus, I am surprised to find how little has been said about it. I have looked over many volumes upon sexual abuses, but do not recall a single earnest discussion of this point, believing that this incontinence of the imagination works more mischief than all other forms of the evil, that indeed it gives rise to all the rest. I am astounded that it has received so little attention. A man that is edging is perhaps more likely to experience night emissions or wet dreams. It is often reported that one feels more depleted after a night emission. A mind constantly engaged in the sexual passions is more likely to overstimulate themselves in the midst of their sleep state. Many on semen retention often report having wet dreams, though how many on semen retention actually refrain from sexually fantasizing and edging? If you are having troubles avoiding wet dreams, then it would be best to eliminate edging and sexual fantasizing completely from your mind. A sexually stimulated mind will more easily trigger an emission than a chaste mind. Constant edging and sexual stimulation is a departure from nature, and I believe this departure to be reflected in the face and body. Someone who is constantly under the spell of lust cannot so easily hide it. They are often betrayed by their own appearance and behavior, their choice of words, the tone of voice, the direction of their conversation. Physical indications such as constant exhaustion, depleted vitality, empty eyes. These signs affect the way in which people interact with you. The signs are there for those perceptive enough to realize them, and most people will sense these signs at least on an instinctual or unconscious level. We are not generally attracted to such traits that indicate a lack of life force. In fact, often they serve to repel us. The practice of conserving our vitality is thus of great importance for the destiny of our lives. It affects the way others perceive us. A man may think his sexual tendencies are hidden and wielding no effect on his life, but this would be false, for the practice sends subtle impressions to those around him, affecting relations on a deeper level. Nothing escapes the attention of nature, and all transgressions of nature will come at a cost to the transgressor. How is one to stop the habit of edging if they find themselves giving in to temptation after making the resolution to quit? One must first eliminate the situations that lead to fantasizing. If it occurs at night time in bed with the smartphone, then putting the phone in another room when going to sleep would be very beneficial. Deciding to sleep at an earlier time and making sure you have moved your body enough throughout the day to fall asleep easily when night comes. If there is a particular site or app that brings these urges, then blocking that site or deleting that app would be very beneficial. Cold showers are famous for lowering the sexual urges. That is perhaps related to why men experience shrinkage after the cold shower. Hot temperatures encourage the sexual passions. This too includes weather and geographic location. Staying cooler helps. Less bed sheets at night if feeling hot can help too. Many yogis recommend a diet to reduce the sexual desires and recommend less meats, as they are said to contain hormones that stimulate the sexual feeling. Generally, if one can go a week without fantasizing and edging, then the next week should become easier, and the next week even more so still. That is not to say urges will never return, just that as one gets used to a pattern of life, maintaining that pattern of life becomes less of a struggle. Perhaps start with the goal of 1 week or 3 days and see if you can make it to that stretch of time. If you fail, then start again, and if you succeed, raise the bar and set it to a longer period of time until you get a handle on it for long periods of time. The motivation from this should come from the addition of energy you feel from conserving your sexual powers. Many see semen retention as only a physical act, but it is the mental behaviors that are also in need of controlling in order to conserve these sexual energies. The spark of the sexual thought is all it takes to activate the testes. From here we can see how the mental thoughts equate to a physical function, and thus we must guard the thoughts we choose to think if we wish to conserve our sexual essence, our essence of life.